So here we have chapter 2. And as chapter 1 showed us a bunch of newer heroes that we didn't know, this one is showing us ones that we do or should know or be familiar with. We obviously know Superman. We know Wonder Woman. Let's see if we can name some of these others. There's Power Girl. There's Green Lantern. There's The Flash. There's Hawkman. We met them. I can't really name half these guys. This is not... That's Red Arrow. That's the... I mean, he became Red Arrow eventually. I forget his name. What's his actual name? Is that Red Tornado? Like, I recognize a whole bunch of these. I think this is Donna Troy. That's Dick Grayson right here, dressed up as Robin. But again, all the detail and time and effort that Alex Ross puts into these, just really, really impressive. Again, another biblical image. I saw 7 angels which stood before God. It goes into some more scripture, keeping with the theme of kingdom come. And it's another vision that Norman McKay is having. And they kind of talk about how he becomes disoriented. He's like asleep, but dreaming, but is he dreaming? So we cut to another like advance in time. Like time is going fast for Norman. I'm guessing. Like, look at this angle. Like, how does he do this shit? Well, they're on the Statue of Liberty, and these guys are yelling to, I don't know, immigrants who are coming through, yelling at them. Okay. Immigrants dare expect sanctuary. America's not as big as it used to be. He's getting pissed at these guys, and they're just gonna like murder all these people just trying to find a better life for themselves. We will defend this nation against, and then another person, a group of people comes in. The America Mando. This land is ours to guard. America, love it or leave it. And again, these assholes just don't care about anything. So, someone should do something indeed. And here comes the goddamn Justice League. And we can see that that is an image of the opening page. Alex Ross did a good job of like making his cape look like wings. I mean, he obviously has wings. Capes that look like wings. They're just like they're in poses that make them look angelic coming down. They look like gods. And the Justice League just fucks up these guys. And yeah, and it says angels. No, not angels. Gods themselves. So Superman rips off this guy's fucking armor. Green Lantern's taking out people. You see the use of how it uses the Flash's powers. Running here, zipping up here, grabbing this guy up here, just all in a split second, zooming around, and then there's these assholes. I forget. The Minutemen are distracted. We're losing our mental link, and these two guys are controlling at least the Minutemen, whoever they are. I don't know. All these guys are assholes. And then there's Robin, who looks very much like Michael Keaton, Batman, kind of with a mask and everything. I thought that was a nice little fun nod. And he hears some names. So who are we also got the Ray, Hawkman, Power Girl, Flash, Green Lantern, obviously. Yeah. And they're just working together as a team. Again, a blast hits the Statue of Liberty. It's going to fall and crush people. Like, even Alex Ross is able to take such a huge, like, moment, a dangerous moment, and able to put that scope into a small panel to tell the story. It's like this angle looking up, and this arm that just got broken is going to fall on these people. You know, it's such an epic moment because it's able to compile it into this just skinny, long panel. So very good. Wonder Woman catches it there, and Superman puts it back and welds it with his heat vision. That's such a cool visual. So everyone's like, oh my God, this is the first time. Is it really them? Are they back? And they're leaving, and they're like, where are they going? They're telling them they're headed to they're headed to the UN building. Like, they would know that. That's just for us, the reader, which is fine. So all these reporters were ready. Everyone knows what's going on. They're just going to make a statement. Superman comes in. He's going to be the voice. He's like, we've been gone for a while. That was our mistake. In our absence, a new breed of metahumans has arisen. Self-styled heroes unwilling to preserve life or defend the defenseless. A legion of vigilantes who have perverted their great powers, forsworn their responsibilities. We return to teach them the meaning of truth and justice. We can make things right again. And he talks about how his ranks will grow. And anyone who joins up with them, like, you know, will not act without their sanction. And like, what about Magog, this guy says? He's like, what are you going to do with him? And Superman doesn't know how to react. And again, there's some history between them. Wonder Woman knows to step in. It's like, he will be dealt with if he surfaces, but, you know, who knows when that's going to happen. So then that's the end. They head off, and it kind of cuts to some people watching that on a monitor, or maybe they're inside this building. He's like, okay, everyone, who's happy with what we've just heard? All these people are silent. No, why am I not surprised? They don't think that the return of Superman the Justice League is a good thing. And these two talk about it. There's a validation of fear. These mortals suspected they are no longer the captains of their destiny, and it's just been confirmed. Like, they can't do anything. Like, they're just at the mercy of these superheroes. And he's like, well, who else is he? I mean, this is so cool. Like, they're here, then they're here, then they're here, you know, like they're floating above the city right here. It's just kind of, they don't really call into it. And it's probably, is that something the writer, Mark Waid, said, like, hey, make sure to do this, or Alex Ross was just smart enough to put in these little details. Anyways, like, who else is he going to call to his side? Who's Superman going to get? It's like, we shall see. So you see him zooming down here, and he comes up to this mansion, looks like beat down, broken, moves this big grandfather clock. There's a secret entrance, and he yells out for Bruce, so we know that this is Wayne Manor, and he's going down to the Batcave. And again, the Batcave doesn't look great. Doesn't look bad, but the giant pennies in the water here. Superman's like, I know you're down here. And Batman here, he's like, yeah, I bow to your superior wisdom. And he makes sure to call him Clark. Even though he says, don't call me that, but he still calls him Clark. And you can see Batman, he's not a superhero, obviously. He's an old man. And he's, you know, his age and his body has failed him, so he has, like, these mechanical pieces to help him. We've seen that in similar cinematic representations. You know, the Christian Bale had some shit like this in The Dark Knight Rises. I think they had this version in the Crisis on Infinite Earths from the CW shows, which was played by Kevin Conroy. Anyways, we're just getting into some stuff. And I remember reading, I think, an article in Wizard where they were talking about a bunch of the details, and this was supposed to be, especially this, was supposed to be kind of like a Darth Vader inspired thing. So now we got Superman and Batman chit-chatting, and Superman wants Batman to join up, but Batman's not having it. He's like, I got my shit covered. I got my city taken care of. And there's a little bit of history where he talks about Bane and Two-Face were the ones that fucked up the mansion. And somebody named Genocide blew up Arkham Asylum and everyone with it, as well as a Belle Reve prison and Blackgate. Not an action I condone. So basically all, like, the major threats in Gotham somehow were killed. And Batman's kind of admitting, like, you know, well, you can't, you know, deny the results. So the League needs you, but he's busy. He's a loner. He always is. He throws Magog's, into his face, like, I should ask Magog about that. Yeah. So they keep talking about the frictions among the world between humans and superhumans. Robin has joined with Superman, and he mentions that to Bruce or Batman here. And it's like, yeah, well, Dick's always been like, his own person. He's always going to make his own choice. And he talks about how the citizens of the world still won't trust you, and Batman says, I don't trust you. He's like, you left and I stayed to carry on the fight. And he talks about, like, we're not limited to Gotham. Like, and he talks about some other people who's working with him. And Superman takes note of that. I have allies, human allies. And so Batman, he's basically telling Superman to go fuck himself. He doesn't want to be joining him. He's like, goodbye, get out of here. So Superman leaves. And these three come out who are hiding. But he's like, this guy, and this is Oliver Queen. That's Green Arrow. He's like, I could feel him. He knew we were here. He was using his x-rays. I'm probably sterile. So there's Oliver Queen. There's Dinah Lance, Black Canary, and Ted Cord, Blue Beetle. Basically humans, more or less. And they're talking about the situation. It says the league is going to do serious damage if they're allowed into our arena. The world is doomed. Superman has no idea what he's really up against. Unfortunately, we have our own team to call into play. And he brings up these images of all these like newer, younger heroes. It's like, Batman, you sound like you have a plan. When does Batman never not have a plan? So then they kind of talk about the relationships and how Batman and Superman were like the best of them. Like, they were the truest representatives of their kind. And you see these, like that's a recreation, both of these, from their first appearances. Action Comics and Detective Comics, right? If I'm not mistaken. Wonder Woman, though, that's not her first image. So it goes into a monologue of Norman, how time passes, how the Justice League spreads, and they go and meet with other people, and they make allies of other superheroes, super people. They negotiate peace whenever impossible. They enforce it. Every turn, transforming enemies into allies. So then you see, just people, like it's just more of the montage. And then it goes to the scene where Wonder Woman is being a tad violent, more so than Superman would like. And he's trying to explain to her, they're not evil, they're just young and misguided. We need to show them a better way. Nothing's better than human life, nothing more sacred. Then it goes to, as he says that, some woman being choked out. And this guy, and he says, sorry, immortal habits die hard. He said, I said 2 sugar, so the secretary fucked up. And this guy, whoever he is, killed her, and we're going to find out who he is. And then comes in Lex Luthor, and he's a little bit older, a little bit chubbier, and he joins in with some more people. So you have this one guy, this young guy, His name is Ibn al-Zushfash. I don't know. Heir to Ra's al Ghul's empire. And I think that's the son of Batman's son. That's not Damian, but it might as well be. Then they talk about Lord Naga, and they say who is Cobra, Selina Kyle, and Edward Nygma. So we got Catwoman and Riddler here with them. I don't know who this guy is, who some of these guys are. I think this guy, is that supposed to be, oh fuck, what is his name? I'll think of it later. The guy who can't die, I think. So you got these human, more or less, villains getting together and kind of talking about the Justice League threat. So they're devising some kind of plan to take out the Justice League, more or less. And in walks this guy, and we don't really notice him, but he's going to be important here. And he, comes up to Luthor, and he starts like getting him ready for like a shave. And they mention Superman to Luthor. He's like, you have nothing to fear from the League, not even from Superman. And Luthor kind of like freaks out, like, he can't touch me, he will not, he composes himself. He's like, I got a most marvelous anti-Superman plan. Isn't that right, boy? Absolutely, Mr. Luthor. He's like, who is this? The Captain of the Lightning and Thunder. Now, at the time, I had no idea who this was. I did not know this character. I didn't read DC. No, I think I probably was vaguely familiar, but I really didn't know who this was supposed to be. But from what we're talking about, marvelous Captain of Lightning and Thunder, this is who was then known as Captain Marvel, now known as Shazam. So it goes to another scene. A bunch of superpowered people hanging out, partying, just kind of being, dickheads and assholes. Superman comes walking in. Everyone kind of stops and looks at him. He just stops in their tracks. He sees all this alcohol. His eyes glow red. This was really cool way that Alex Ross did this, and he just takes out all that shit, and he's like, party's over. This girl, I think she's the daughter of Black Canary and Green Arrow, right? And this guy was like, ooh, I don't care. Ooh, I'm shaking. I don't care what you're selling. And some of these other guys, shut up, like wants to hear. And Superman gives them the same speech he's been giving everyone else. The world's in a bad shape. Is that Lobo? Old version of Lobo? Anyways, Superman's saying, like, you need to shape up or ship out, join the League willingly or just kind of stop what you're doing and be heroes. And that put a stop to a bunch of people. And a lot of them are like, oh my gosh, are you in? What are you going to do? And this is the daughter of Starfire and Dick Grayson. And this one's like, I just felt I was asked to be his 13th disciple. She's like, yeah, I thought my dad was full of crap. But then an Arrow comes shooting in, and there's Green Arrow. He's like, okay, so you heard his pitch. Now for the democratic response. So Superman gave you one idea. Here's another one, potentially. So time shifts, armies build. They've taken their base up to the Green Lantern base. That's where they're hanging out. So again, I mean, we're not going to go through all the story, just more of the same stuff. They have to take out more and more of these assholes, and it's not supposed to be this way, and they're having to imprison a lot of people, and they don't know where to put a bunch of these people, you know, these bad guys. It's like, what do we do with those who refuse to see the light? And she has a suggestion, follow me. So they go down to Atlantis, and here is Aquaman. And they basically want to bring the prisoners they have down to Atlantis. But they need Aquaman's permission, but he says it's denied. Permission is denied. He doesn't want to be burdened with the surface world's refuse. And they try to help, like, convince him, but he's not being an asshole about anything. But he's like, no, it's not going to happen. And he's like, having a crown, you know about this, Wonder Woman. She says, like, no, I no longer have my royal station. And I think Superman didn't know about that. So they leave. And they talk about that. Like, Superman's like, when were you going to tell me what you lost? And they're also talking about the jail. Like, forcing people into a jail and how they're going to use that. And Superman didn't like that idea, but, you know, it is what it is. So they're talking, but they're getting closer to each other. And Superman's saying, I sense so much anger in you. And she's like, not anger, but passion. They're about to make out. But someone cock blocks both of them. Red Arrow and Donna Troy. And like, sorry, but it's Magog Superman. We've found him. Uh-oh. So there's this guy, and he's holding up this building, so he's strong. And he's like trying to be gentle with this fucking house, and it collapses, and he fucking gets pissed, and he shoots it. And then there's suddenly Superman, and there's the rest of the Justice League. He's like, what are you doing here, Magog? So now we're going to find out the history between these two. And basically, Magog is saying, like, everything that happened here is your fault. And we go into a history of basically the Joker, who ended up killing a bunch of people in Metropolis. And he says, like, how many could he take out that last time? 92 men and 1 woman. Basically insinuating that that he also killed Lois Lane. So Joker was apprehended, or no, he wasn't apprehended. I don't know what's going on here, but Magog comes in here, and he was the one to find Joker, and he took him out. He just shoots him with his staff and kills Joker. And that's when Superman comes down. He sees the murder of the Joker by this guy. So Superman brings him in, and he puts him, he arrests him, and Magog is put on trial. But he's acquitted because so many people believe in what Magog is doing as opposed to Superman. Superman's got the ponytail and stuff that he was wearing in the 90s for a bit. So because of that, because one, Lois Lane was killed, Superman failed that, this guy killed the Joker, Superman realizes that the world has changed, and like, he left. Magog wanted to fight him. Like, hey, let's fight, and whoever's the winner will be like the champion of Metropolis, or the protector. But Superman's like, it's like, fuck you, I'm not doing that. He just left. So that basically put Magog as like the main protector. But his way of doing things is not the right way, apparently. And he started to realize that. So he's ready to take it out on Superman, and Wonder Woman's holding everyone back. Like, let them take care of this situation. And he's like, you weren't afraid of me, you were afraid of what I represented. But he's like, this is what I represent. Look around you. Look at this devastation. And he says, you must be proud. And he, like, takes offense to that. He fucking, like, shoots Superman. It's like, God damn you. Everyone's kind of shocked. Superman's not hurt, obviously. He's like, it's your fault. The world changed, but you wouldn't, so they chose me. They chose the man who would kill over the man who wouldn't, and now they're dead. A million ghosts punish me, lock me away, kill me, just make the ghosts go away. So basically, Magog was responsible for all these deaths because his way of doing things was too violent and caused the deaths of like millions of people from like the Parasite Captain Atom thing, right? But he's not just some like super villain like ha 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 and like doesn't care. This guy actually does care, but he's pissed that the burden was placed on him when it should have been Superman doing it. He should have been there. He should never have went away, basically, he's saying. So he's mad that now he has to bear that responsibility and like carry that guilt. Now, if we'll notice, the way this guy was designed was very deliberate. You can see his face here. He's got kind of like missing an eye with some scarring there. And his arm here is all robotic, technological. He was modeled after Cable because during this time, characters like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Spider-Man, Captain America, people who were like the heroes and did like things the heroic way, it wasn't like they were still around and still popular, but other characters like anti-heroes, Wolverine, Punisher, and Cable, who was getting kind of popular, like very popular during that time, were becoming the new heroes that everyone was liking. So, Cable, this guy was modeled after Cable to be that representation. So, Superman is just quiet, he's silent, and he says, "We are at war," which is something Wonder Woman's been telling him, but he wasn't really willing to acknowledge that. So this portion was new. These pages, let's see, 1, 2, 3, these 4 pages were newly added to this specific book. And it's probably in other versions. It wasn't in the original comics. It went from that to this. So they added this in where it cuts to Apocalypse. And they're talking to this guy. It looks like Darkseid, but it's not. It's the new guy who's Lord of Apocalypse. It's Orion, his son, who's somehow taken over, beaten Apocalypse, and he's in control of this. Yeah, I heard you finally usurped Darkseid's throne. So they're just basically trying to find another place to put their prisoners, I think. And they're not going to put them on Apocalypse, but they're going to create a prison from Mr. Miracle, this is, to create a kind of prison to put all the prisoners that they have. So that's basically what they're doing here. And there's Big Barda, and she comes in with a boom tube. Boom. So, yeah, I think Big Barda's been with them for quite a while. So, time folds again, and they start building this prison, a stronghold of justice, they say. And as it's being built, Norman the Spectre, they go back to the Mankind Liberation Front, and who joins them? Who joins Luthor and all these villains? But Batman and these guys. And they shake hands. So Batman has teamed up with Lex Luthor, like as actual humans worried about the superhuman threat and what they're going to do. They've joined together. And that's the end of issue 3. So things are getting interesting.